Chaos.radio. Music, podcasts, entertainment.
Hello and welcome to the latest edition of NEWSWAVE, written, produced and recorded in the heart of Cornwall by the team here at Chaos Radio. I'm your host, Tom Howe, and I'll be guiding you through some of the insightful guests and exciting news content that we've enjoyed across Chaos Radio this past week. On today's show, we're discussing the world of hedgehogs with John Lewis, CEO of Prickles & Paws Hedgehog Rescue. John will be talking about the crucial work his team is doing to care for sick, injured and orphaned hedgehogs, and the exciting campaign to build a custom, wait for it, hospital for these beloved creatures. Then, we're heating things up a bit with Leanne Bawden and Jessica Collett as they join us to talk about the upcoming Firewalk challenge for the RSPCA, taking place at Mount Pleasant Eco Park in Porthtowan on March 28th. Participants will walk barefoot over hot embers to raise funds for animals in need. Following that, we'll meet Gerard Little and Helen Scott Washington, parents of students from Brannel School in St Stephen, who are part of an inspiring 33-day ocean research expedition aboard the tall ship Helen Mary R. These Year 9 students will be gathering data to tackle plastic pollution, collaborating with the University of Plymouth's Marine Litter Research Unit. And finally, if you're planning a special event like a wedding or a birthday party, you'll want to hear from Cassie Kemp, the talented artist behind Cornwall Caricatures. Cassie runs a one-woman business creating unique caricatures for personal events.
NEWSWAVE.
Next up, we're joined by John Lewis, CEO of Prickles & Paws Hedgehog Rescue, to discuss the important work they're doing to care for our hedgehog population and their campaign to build a custom hospital. John is heard in discussion with Bryna Jordan.
NEWSWAVE.
Please, can you tell those who may not know just a little bit about the work that Prickles & Paws do?
Right. Well, we provide a rescue service for native British hedgehogs. The aim is to rehabilitate sick and injured hedgehogs so that they can be released back into the wild to support local hedgehog populations. We take them in from throughout Cornwall and even get into Plymouth and parts of West Devon as well, so it's a very large catchment area, picking up either from local vets or from the general public. And we also have a telephone hotline service which is available 7 days a week between 9 in the morning and 6 o'clock in the evening. And I'm going to shout out the number very slowly now for anybody who's got a pen and paper. 07926 576 164. So if anybody finds a hedgehog and has concerns, ring that number first and we can advise on the best thing to do. We're actually the largest hedgehog rescue in Cornwall.
Wow.
2024, we admitted 1,428 hedgehogs, which is our record.
Yep.
And it's been growing every year. And why are we doing this? Well, basically, the hedgehog populations have been in decline, as you've said. A lot of reasons for that. Habitat loss, which is a result of intensive farming, development, people over-tidying gardens, falling insect numbers. This is a really important one because a hedgehog's diet should be principally beetles and caterpillars.
Absolutely.
And there are simply fewer beetles and caterpillars out there. And then there's problems of human activity and things like road casualties, strimmer injuries, dog attacks, netting entanglements, all sorts of things. So there are lots of reasons why hedgehogs have to come into us, and they are now classified as being vulnerable to extinction.
Oh, I love to see a hedgehog out in the wild. It always gets me really excited where I'm like, oh my goodness, like there's a hedgehog, because I feel like you don't really see them very often. I live in a town. I live in the town of St Austell, so it's probably not as prevalent there. But I just don't see them very often. So it's very exciting to see one.
Funnily enough, we actually find that the stronger populations tend to be in suburban areas,
Really?
and low density urban areas.
Do we think that's because obviously a lot of people do feed hedgehogs as well? They'll put out cat food and stuff in their gardens for them.
I think people are more aware. I mean, something that has been going on across the whole country now for a while is this concept of hedgehog highways, and encouraging people to make sure that gardens are joined up, because hedgehogs travel probably a mile or more every night, foraging for food during the breeding season, looking for mates as well. And they need to be able to move around over that sort of area. So if they're trapped in a garden, they can't do that. So hedgehog highways, the idea of connecting gardens with little gaps in fences and that sort of thing, is a very good way of making sure that the populations can thrive. A lot of people are doing that now. They're also, as you say, putting out food. Sometimes they might put a hedgehog box, a hedgehog shelter in the garden, and all those things help. So I think those sorts of initiatives that people can do are helping. So we do find that the populations in urban areas are actually quite stable now. Sadly, in rural areas, they're still going down as far as we can tell.
And how did Prickles and Paws come to be? Like, what inspired its founding, and how has it evolved over the years to meet the needs of the community?
Well, it was founded by a mother and daughter called Diane and Katie. Quite a few years ago now, when Katie was very young, and she discovered 2 orphaned hedgehogs in the garden. She did a lot of research very quickly to find out what to do, and she managed to rear them successfully and release them back into the wild. And I think after that Katie and Dan got a bit of a reputation as being the people that know about hedgehogs. So they found themselves taking in more and more. And eventually in 2017, they decided to make this a full-time job, really, and set up the charity to actually develop a proper hedgehog hospital, or hogspital, which is a difficult thing to get your mouth around. And it's been growing since then. And they've been working collaboratively with the local vets to develop good treatment protocols and things like that. Katie went on to study zoology at Newquay University Centre, and she's gone on after that to publish 3 scientific papers and do a master's degree looking at various aspects of hedgehog care and parasitology. So the way that we operate is very much science-based. It's based around good evidence, and it's based around learning and developing protocols and treatments with the vets, so that we can make sure that we're giving the hedgehogs the best chance and doing the best treatments that we can.
Do you rely on volunteers as well to kind of help look after and rehabilitate?
We do, and that's actually one of the problems with the current setup, because it is a series of sheds in a back garden. It's very small. It's absolutely crammed. We've got purpose-made hutches and incubators in there. The facilities themselves are very good, but the space is tiny, and that limits the number of people that you can realistically have in there at any one time. So generally, we could only have probably a maximum of 2 volunteers working at any one time, because otherwise people will be physically bumping into one another. It's that small. So that is our biggest constraint now, that when we hit that peak time of the year, there is simply no more space. And last year, for the first time, we actually had to ask some of our vets to keep hedgehogs on their premises for 24 or 48 hours before we could admit them, simply because we had run out of space. Every single space for a hedgehog was taken. So no space for any more hedgehogs, and no space for any more volunteers. So that is the constraint, and that's why we now have the plans for the new hedgehog hospital.
So this brings me on perfectly to talk a little bit about the hedgehog hospital, or hogspital. Could you talk about some of the key features and facilities that you've got planned for this building?
Yes, the plans are ultimately to have 2 purpose-built single-storey buildings. There will be a number of facilities in there. We're going to have 2 hospital areas, 1 in each of the buildings. There'll be a proper reception area, so the public can actually come in and drop off hedgehogs rather than standing by the gate desperately ringing the bell as they do at the moment. There will be a proper separate triage room, so when hedgehogs come in, they can be assessed in a quiet area away from everybody else. There'll be a training area and a staff room. We'll have a separate isolation area for hedgehogs with parasitic conditions and things that might otherwise be passed on to others. There'll be a disabled access toilet and private parking and all sorts of things. So there's a lot going on. That's over 2 buildings. Having that much more space will ultimately probably increase our capacity by about 300%. So whereas at the moment we're limited to around about 100 hedgehogs, we have had more than that, because sometimes you might have a nursing mum in with 3 or 4 hoglets. But generally speaking, it's around about 100 maximum. We should be able to get up to about 300 or so once we've got the complete new premises built. But importantly, we'll have a lot more space for people to move around, which means that we can have more staff and more volunteers on site. And it also means that we can start to run more educational activities and training activities on site, because we will have a classroom facility that we simply don't have at the moment.
And the total cost for this project is £300,000. What strategies do you have in place to reach this goal, and how can the community get involved?
Right. It's probably going to be more than that now. Simply because of the inflationary costs that we're all aware of with building, etc. What we've decided to do is actually break the project down into 2. So we're initially focusing on building 1 building, which will enable us to relocate the whole existing rescue with a little bit of extra space on top. That's going to cost around about 200,000, probably just a little bit over 200,000, and we're almost there with that. We've got the site, we've got a long lease on the site, we've got planning permission, and we've already brought the power and water supplies onto site. We've already put foundations in for both buildings, and we have a further £150,000 odd available, which is either money that we've raised already that's in the bank, or money that's been pledged from charities and business sponsors.
Fabulous.
That plus the £47,000 we've spent on the site already brings us quite close to our expected budget for building number 1. So we're confident now that we can get building number 1 completed within the next 12 months.
Amazing.
And we're hoping this time next year, when it's our quiet time, so it's the best time to do it, that we'll be able to relocate the entire rescue onto the site. Fabulous. And then the big thing will be raising the extra money for building number 2. But that can be done afterwards. That'll probably take another 12 to 24 months to do. But once we're on the site and things are going on, I think people will see what's happening, and it'll make that job a little bit easier.
It certainly sounds amazing, what you're planning. I'm going to have to come down and visit. I absolutely love the idea of this. Very exciting. And finally, before I let you go, if anyone wants to get involved, donate, volunteer, or just kind of follow along with the work that you're doing, how can they find you online? Right.
I'm going to suggest they go to our website, which is pricklesandpaws.org. Quite easy to find.
Easy.
We are on social media. We're on pretty much all of it. We're on Facebook. We're on X. We're on Blue Sky. We're on Instagram. We're on TikTok. In fact, if you go on TikTok, you can sometimes during the hoglet season see people very late at night feeding baby hedgehogs, which seems to attract an awful lot of interest.
This is going to attract me.
So we've got all those different avenues where people can follow what we're doing. All the information about volunteering, about donations, those sorts of things, that's all on the website.
Brilliant.
We do have events going on locally throughout the summer, and you can sign up to a mailing list as well. We don't bombard you with spam. You just get nice targeted emails and nice targeted newsletters
updates,
once every so often. We have got a fundraiser coming up next week called March for Hogs. March as in March and March as in walking around. We're encouraging people to walk a mile a day.
Okay.
And raise money for hedgehogs.
That's doable, I think.
Yeah, it's doable.
Love that.
Or if you can't do it, sponsor somebody else to do it.
Yeah.
Or we've got a Just Giving page, so it's really easy. So even if you don't know somebody that's doing it, you can just go on the Just Giving page and donate to anybody you like.
Oh, amazing.
So we're doing that. That's March for Hogs in March. getting people to march. The reason it's a mile a day is because that's roughly how far a hedgehog travels every night.
NEWSWAVE.
Thanks to John Lewis for that. If you'd like to support Prickles and Paws, visit pricklesandpaws.co.uk. We now turn to Leanne Bawden and Jessica Collett from the RSPCA, who are here to tell us all about the upcoming Firewalk Challenge at Mount Pleasant Eco Park in Porthtowan on March the 28th, which will help raise money for animals in need. They joined Janice Rose.
NEWSWAVE.
Yeah, so we are from RSPCA Cornwall branch. So we are a rehabilitation and rehoming centre in St Callum, and we are a separately registered self-funded charity. So we raise, although we sit under the National RSPCA umbrella, we raise funds for our own charity in Cornwall, and we are fully involved in rehoming and rehabilitating the dogs and cats of Cornwall.
Oh, that's just so wonderful. And looking at your Facebook page, there are so many fundraising campaigns and events you have going at the moment. So give our listeners a flavour of what you've got in advance. What's going on?
Oh my goodness, you're right. It's always really busy here because when you're fundraising, you've got to kind of find lots of different ways. So we have got lots of things happening. So the Firewalk that obviously we're going to be talking about in a moment. We have some amazing challenges as part of global challenges. So you can trek the Great Wall of China. You can go up Ben Nevis. You can do the Jurassic Coast trek. I myself am going to be doing a kennel sleepover next Friday.
Oh, wow.
And we are launching on the 1st of March, a March in March where you can walk 100 kilometres, hopefully with your dog if you have one, enjoying the beautiful scenery of Cornwall and the gorgeous spring weather, I'm saying with fingers crossed.
Yeah, I'm putting it out there for you. It is going to be gorgeous, okay? Gorgeousness is going to happen.
Absolutely. And you can get sponsored to do that. And there will be many more events coming up throughout the year, but they're the ones we're launching at the moment.
So tell me a little bit about this kennel sleepover. Are you going to be given like chow and dog biscuits and a bowl of water? Is that the sort of vibe?
Or you've clearly not met me if you think I can survive like that. No. So RSPCA Cornwall branch has been at the centre we're at now since about 1996. So our kennel blocks are in desperate need of updating because they're starting to show their age. So we've had a brand new kennel block of 12 kennels built last year. And to launch the new kennel block, myself and some of our fabulous corporate sponsors are going to be sleeping over for the night, so trying out the kennels before they're tried out by our dogs, and once we've had the kennel sleepover, we'll be able to move some of our dogs into the new kennel block, and then the next round of fundraising will be around updating the current kennel blocks that we have.
That is so great. And I'm going to bring in the superstar fundraiser, which is sat next to you, Jessica. Jessica, what made you decide to take on the RSPCA Firewalking Challenge? I mean, respect.
Yeah, I'm a bit nervous about it, to be honest. But yeah, one of my friends has actually done the Firewalk and she said it was life-changing. So yes, and also I'm actually fundraising for it myself. So all the money raised goes to us here at the RSPCA Cornwall branch. So it goes towards medical, treatment, food, anything, care for the animals. So yeah, and there's a lot of support with the Firewalk as well. So we've got the Time for Change. So they're actually doing the Firewalk. And beforehand, you get a lot of training as well. So like an hour training before you actually go on the fire.
Oh, right. I was going to say, how did you just say walk the fire?
No.
Your friend that's done it before, what tips or tricks was she told about how to do it without actually burning your feet?
She kind of just said, just go for it. Just go for it. Yeah. So apparently the feeling of it, I've heard, it either feels cold on your feet, which is a bit weird.
That does sound weird.
Or numb, or nothing at all. So, yeah.
So what do you feel about the challenge? Are you nervous, excited, or is there a bit of both going on there?
A bit of both, really. I think at the moment I'm excited. I think on the day, I think I'll be slightly nervous, but there's a lot of people doing it, you know, and there's a lot of support there around you, a lot of encouragement. So I think adrenaline will take over, and it's kind of mind over matter. So yeah, I'm excited.
Oh no, that is super fun. So what message would you like to share with others who might be thinking about taking on the Firewalk but being a bit like me, a little bit nervous? How would you encourage them to do that?
I think just do it. It's, you know, you're raising money for such a good cause, and I'll say it's once in a lifetime. You know, you've got the opportunity there, you've got the support, but from us here at the centre as well. You're not going to be by yourself, and it's, you know, you've achieved something once you've done it, and it's something to tell your friends and family about, you know, and yeah. Just do it.
So you said you're privately fundraising. So if people want to donate to you, where's your pages? Do you have a social page or do you have a link anywhere?
So we've actually got a Facebook event, which you will find on our RSPCA Cornwall branch Facebook page. And you can sign up there. And you can actually set up your own fundraising as well. And if people just wanted to donate to me or, you know, anyone that's actually doing it, they will set up their own fundraising page to donate to them. So,
okay, so we just need to watch the socials.
Yeah, just watch the social media, and on our Instagram as well.
So after you've done the firewalking, are you going to take the next step and perhaps do skydiving? I don't know, you seem quite an adventurous type.
Well, I don't know. I'm not one for heights, so I think you never know. You know, the firewalking might be, you know, Just do it. Just do it.
Yeah.
Skydiving might be next, but I don't know.
Okay, so it's watch this space on that moment, isn't it?
Space, yeah.
Oh, so Leanne, what impact does the money raised through these fundraising events have on the animals in your care? Why is it so important to keep the fundraising banner going?
So, I think part of the concern for us is that people don't always realise that we are self-funded. So, you know, when you donate to an animal charity, any animal charity, you are doing a wonderful, wonderful thing. And if that's where your money is going, then obviously hats off to you, perfect. But sometimes what happens is people donate to the national charity thinking that the money will eventually make its way to Cornwall. And in that situation, that's not sort of strictly what's happening. So when you fundraise or when you donate to RSPCA Cornwall branch, the money is staying at our centre. It's for our animals in our community. Back in 2020, so 5 years ago, it used to cost about £500,000 to run our centre. It now costs nearly double that. We all know that the cost of vet bills, food, utilities, diesel for our vans, etc., has skyrocketed. We all know that. We're all living in that situation ourselves. And so for us, that means that we've gone from, you know, needing to raise £500,000 to needing to raise nearly £1 million in a situation where people are themselves finding, you know, life difficult. So any spare sort of a penny that you can put will go towards helping more animals, helping more of our community, helping more of our young people as part of our Young People's Project, and will make a difference to Cornwall as a whole.
Yeah, you mentioned the Young People's Project. I know when we spoke about before, you're really passionate about that. So not only do you look after dogs and cats in your care, you look after the care and nurture the next generation. Do tell our listeners about that, because it's something that's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, thank you. Did you notice how I shoehorned that in?
It would have been in there. That's my next question. There you go.
You know, I'm always desperate to talk about our Young People's Project. So I actually started working at RSPCA Cornwall branch as part of the Young People's Project. So I used to be a primary teacher. And when I found out about the project that we have here, it was something that I really wanted to be part of. So it's for 8 to 17-year-olds who maybe have experienced trauma, maybe are finding, you know, things difficult at school, maybe have been in care, maybe have had, you know, some mental health worries, and they can be referred to us by a professional who will kind of let us know the needs of the young person. The young person then, once the referral has gone through, will come and spend 6 weeks, and it can be rolled to 12 weeks here at centre, 1 day a week, and they are fully engaged with the animals. You know, when they're here, they are learning everything there is to know about working at a rescue centre. So that's walking the animals, you know, grooming, enrichment, cleaning, helping with rehoming, you know, feeding. The sky's the limit. And when you take a young person who's potentially had some trauma in their lives, and you take an animal who's potentially had some trauma, and you put them side by side, and the young person sees the animal gain confidence and go off to a new home and have a long and happy life, it gives the young person that opportunity to think that can also be me. It's possible to experience trauma but still have a positive end to your life, you know, to rest of your life. So that's what we encourage. And, you know, it impacts the animals because they get extra time with people, and it impacts the young people. So it's a win-win for us.
It sounds like you see both animals and young people bloom in your presence. That must Absolutely. Be so beautiful. Yeah, it is. It's something that whenever I go out into the community and talk about what we do, everyone is aware of, obviously, the animal rescue part of our work. But when I get to talk about the other aspects, in particular the Young People's Project, and actually we're also looking into developing a young adults project as well for 18 to 25-year-olds. It allows us to do so much more, and it allows us to engage our community. So for us, it's such a powerful thing to be part of. Oh, and if people wanted to help in other ways, perhaps fostering or adopting a dog or a cat, how do they go about that? What's the first steps?
Oh, yeah, definitely. So one thing that it would be really good to get out there is that we have our own website. So sometimes people end up on the National RSPCA website. So if you're looking for our website, if you pop in RSPCA Cornwall in your search browser, that will bring up our website. We're in the process, actually, Jess and I, of updating the website to make it sort of more relevant to where we are as a charity right now. But there's lots of information on there about fostering, adopting, fundraising, volunteering, and also we put lots of things on our social media, particularly sort of Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, we've got Openme as well.
Yeah, are our two main sort of platforms, and we will be very shortly putting out a post on social media, because next weekend, so the 1st and 2nd of March, we are going to have a weekend where people can book to come and talk to our foster and adoption coordinator about adopting some of the dogs that we have at the centre at the moment. So it's kind of a chance to come and talk to the professionals who know about all the animals and just ask all your questions, find out about the animals that we have here, talk about, you know, your lifestyle, and hopefully we can make a bit of a perfect match.
Oh, that was so lovely and so worthwhile, because the dogs I met were absolutely gorgeous last time. I want to take them all home, as many of you probably want to as well.
Yeah. We've got some long stayers at the moment as well, who we really are keen to to get into their forever homes, and so it's about just reaching them. It only takes us to reach the one right person, doesn't it?
It does, absolutely. Yeah. So can you tell our listeners the website and your Facebook page so they can go directly to them if they want to find out more information?
Yeah, so our website is the RSPCA Cornwall branch, and then that is the same as Instagram, so it will be the RSPCA Cornwall branch as well as Facebook. So if you just type that in, it will pop up.
Okay, and your website?
www.rspcaccornwallbranch.org.uk.
NEWSWAVE.
Thanks to Leanne and to Jessica. To find out more and to sign up, head on over to rspca.org.uk. Okay, a fascinating journey awaits as Gerard Little and Helen Scott Washington tell us about the 33-day ocean research expedition, that's not easy to say, that their children are a part of. This incredible voyage aboard the Helen Mary R will see Year 9 students from Brannel School work alongside the University of Plymouth's Marine Litter Research Unit to combat plastic pollution. And you might just recognise the voice of the journalist behind the microphone.
NEWSWAVE.
Right, I've teased this all afternoon. I'm really excited to chat about this one. This is the group of Year 9 students at Brannel School in St Stephen who are preparing for a school trip with a difference as they continue their quest to tackle plastic pollution. So aiming to raise awareness and to inspire action, this group are set to embark on a 33-day ocean research expedition aboard the tall ship Helen Mary R. Now, their journey is going to cover 1,300 miles of the Celtic and Irish seas and see them gather data in collaboration with the University of Plymouth's Marine Litter Research Unit. Here to tell us more about the voyage and a fundraising campaign launched to help cover costs are Gerard Little and Helen Scott Washington, whose children are part of the project. Good afternoon, Gerard and Helen. How are you both?
Oh, lovely. Thank you.
Good.
Very good. Thanks, Tom.
Good. I'm doing a lot better now that I know the buttons are working. Right. So, look, this is far from your average school trip. I'm going to ask you both individually, what was your reaction when your children came home from school and mentioned this idea for the first time?
So for me, jealousy. I wanted to go on a trip like this. It was great. It sounds amazing. But actually, I was just really proud of my daughter, Emily. I think out of the whole year, only 13 children put themselves forward for it. For her to be one of those who was just happy to put herself forward, put herself out there for this trip with no parents for... Actually, I can see the appeal now, no parents for 33 days. Why shouldn't I do it? But no, essentially, I'm just really proud of her.
And Helen, what about you?
Yeah, I think I probably had that first mum reaction, whereas, like, you know, in my head, I was like screaming, oh my God, my child's going to be away from me for a whole month. But there's just no way I was going to stand in the way of such an amazing adventure, really, which, like Gerard, I was really jealous that he's going on it and I'm not.
I want to ask you again, both together here, where does your child's passion, your respective children's passion for the environment and the ocean come from, and how they're feeling ahead of the trip?
Well, we're quite laid back, actually. So he hasn't really given me many clues about whether he's anxious about it or not. I know he's really excited about it, really excited. And I think because they live so close to the beach, and they're of that kind of eco-warrior generation, I think, as well, which is really good. But yeah, he is really excited, but he doesn't show very much. So.
And Gerard, what about your child there?
Yeah, similar. So we're an environmentally conscious family. We do what we can where we can. And so, yeah, Emily, both our children have picked up that similar sort of ethos. But we live in such a lovely part of the country. And when you see the beaches, any beach you look at, you can see the plastic waste everywhere. We try to pick up what we can, but every little helps, as Tesco would say. Other stores are available.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Good save. You did very well there. Can you tell us more then about, is it Team Adventurus? Why they chose that name, who's involved, and what this expedition's going to involve exactly?
Well, it's actually Team Adventurus.
Adventurus, oh.
Adventurus it is,
yeah,
which is Cornish. Actually, I came up with this. It's actually Cornish for adventurous. So, and it was very similar as well to the Scottish word for it, which don't ask me to quote me on that now because I couldn't come up with it. But we put a few names down, and then the children and the parents had a bit of a poll on it, and Adventurus is what we come up with.
Fantastic. Okay, who's going to be involved, and what they're going to be doing?
So it's organised by the Morvar Sailing Project, who are based in Foy. And they're setting off on Saturday, the 29th of March from Foy, going round Land's End, up to Wales, Ireland, Northern Ireland, and up to Scotland. So it's 33 days, and they're hoping to cover 1,300 miles in various legs. So they're not on the sea all the time, but they'll be stopping and exploring where they are. So.
Fantastic. It just sounds like a wonderful opportunity. Now, we spoke to another set of parents
NEWSWAVE
involved a few months ago, and I just wonder what preparation and build-up have the students been going through ahead of this voyage?
I think most of it has been fundraising. We've had, obviously, a couple of beach cleans lately where we've teamed up with various different groups. But as far as preparation for the sailing goes, not a lot really. They do literally throw them in the deep end. So they've been on the boat. I think that's just about it really.
That's sometimes that's better, isn't it? Just being thrown straight in and not thinking about it, like we did with the interview today. We've thrown you straight in, but you're doing absolutely fantastically well so far. So we talked about the team has been involved in a range of activities. They've been doing beach cleans with Beach Guardian and One Blue Eye, amongst others. What other recent work and collaborations have there been?
So you mentioned the One Blue Eye, so that was a fantastic. We went and did a beach clean with the Beach Guardian, and then One Blue Eye in Helston, who finds plastic on the beach and then remakes them into things that can be sold in his shop, and that's fantastic. We've also had support from Three Bays Wildlife Group, Fathoms Free, the Green Waste Company. Who else? I've got a list here.
Good job you have.
Best to be prepared.
Yeah, for our raffle. So we had a couple of raffles we're doing, but the generosity from some of the local companies is amazing. So Circular & Co in Perranporth, they've got waste-free, sustainable materials. Weaver Green have donated a lovely picnic blanket. Seal 60 do energy-saving insulation solutions. They've donated some stuff for us, and Odyssey Innovation in Par. They've made some litter picking products made from recovered ghost fishing material. So, wow. Yeah, amazing.
Oh, that's incredible. I think a big question for me is how I can keep up to date with the students while they're out there, because this sounds, well, we keep saying it, we keep going over old ground here, but it just sounds mind-blowing, doesn't it? What can you tell us about how the group will be sharing their experiences from the boat and about the work that will go on once they return too?
We've got a Facebook page, haven't we? So
Okay.
I'm kind of assuming that a lot will be uploaded onto there. We've got a parents group which is on WhatsApp, which the children will be keeping in touch with us about what they're doing, but most of it will be put on the Facebook group. Obviously we've got a GoFundMe page as well, so if anybody would like to go and have a look and read up on that, and then if anybody is able, then a small donation would be lovely. I think we're over the £18,000 mark now. We're aiming for 23,000. So still a little bit of way to go there. So we would really appreciate anybody going out and just checking on the Facebook page, sharing it as much as possible. That would be fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, and we'll share details. Oh, sorry, Gerard, you carry on.
I think Matt, the skipper from More of a Sailing Project, who's the skipper for the boat, he's setting up some way that the kids can actually update us while they're on the trip as well. So it'd be interesting reading while they're away. Yeah, great. It'd be great to share that along, and sort of for our listeners, I think, to hear that and all the things that are going on after we've sort of given it the big build up, to hear everything that's happening. Look, it's just over a month that the group are going to be away, and this is likely to be the longest many of them will have been away from home, and it's quite a considerable commitment, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is, actually. I did say to Rowan about homesickness and seasickness, and he just looked at me and said, well, I won't be homesick, which is a bit of a stab through the heart there for a mother. But
lovely.
Yeah, so I don't have many worries about him being away for a whole month, from his point of view. Obviously, from my point of view, it'd be totally different. But yeah, I think they're all really kind of grounded kids, and I think they really do understand the enormity of what they're about to do. I think it'll be in the throes of it all where they might have a few doubts, but yeah, let's hope they can do the full trip.
Yeah, Amelie's been away. Amelie's been away on little trips before, but she's never been homesick really. She's quite happy being away from us. I'm sure that says about my parenting, but I hope. But there's so much for them to do. There are different roles that they'll have to be doing. So they'll be doing the navigating on the boat. They'll be doing the cooking. All the meals, I think, are being cooked. They'll take it in turns on a rota. So they'll be kept busy.
Yeah.
Very busy. Yeah.
Great. Oh, it sounds like it. See how they react when that first big cloud comes over as well. See what the updates are from that. What about the parents and the guardians then? How are you all feeling about it? I know you said something about a WhatsApp group there potentially. Are you having regular meetings as well? And what are you going to be doing while your children are away too?
We haven't discussed that actually. We'll probably be regularly meeting down the pub, hopefully. But yeah, I don't know. I assume that we will all be still in the group chat and we'll all be kind of keeping up on top of that. We would like there to be some kind of legacy from this as well. So I'm hoping that, we'll be together for a little while afterwards, organising maybe something that they can carry on either at Brannel School or, something via Morva.
Can you just tell us where these donations to this campaign, where they'll be going, what they might be spent on, and how important they actually are?
So the money is for the placement costs for the trip, but it's funding the More of Our Sailing project, enabling them to keep going and taking more young people on for more adventures. This is what they do. So yeah, anything we can do to support them, I'm very happy.
These absolutely life-changing activities that they're doing. This is incredible. I've never been away from home for 33 days. I'm nearly 33 years old and I still haven't been away from home for 33 days. I'd still be texting my mum every day and all sorts of different things. What are you hoping that these experiences will offer your children in terms of, I guess, their perspective on things and future career aspirations as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, independence to me is the first one. Confidence, obviously. Learning these essential life skills like taking care of themselves, cooking, that teamwork thing, respecting other people's space, things like that. Because it's obviously quite close quarters that they're going to have to live in. So, yeah, I just think they're going to come home different people, aren't they? Totally different people. And as for their future, if they choose to go into marine biology or something eco-friendly, that would be all the more better. So fabulous.
Fantastic. Look, it's been absolutely brilliant having you join us this afternoon. Please do pass on our very best wishes to the group. Like I said, we're going to be keeping an eye on their progress for sure over the next few months. And I'm sure we'll be talking again before the launch. When did you say again? Can you just remind us when it is that they're going to be setting off?
It's Saturday, 29th of March.
Before you go, can you just remind our listeners how they can find out more information and donate if they do feel able to do so? I know we've touched on it a couple of times, but I think it's so important for people that may have come in late to the interview, whatever it might be, and they want to find out more information. How can they do that?
So they can look up Team Adventurus. We've got a Facebook page. There's also a GoFundMe page as well. And all the information is on both of those pages. On the Facebook page, obviously, they can catch up on our latest things, such as the Beach Guardian clean, which we did on Saturday. Glorious weather, by the way. Absolutely glorious.
It was, wasn't
thankfully.
it?
Beautiful scenery. So it was a really good day. So lovely photos on there. Check us out.
NEWSWAVE.
Thanks to Gerard and Helen for joining us. To learn more about the expedition and support the group's fundraising efforts, do search Team Adventurus on Facebook. Finally, I'm excited to introduce Cassie Kemp of Cornwall Caricatures, who creates bespoke caricatures for special events. So if you have a milestone celebration coming up, her unique artwork could well be the perfect touch. Over to Ross Lannon now.
NEWSWAVE.
Because I have a very special guest joining me here now in the studio. And if you have a special occasion coming up, maybe a wedding or a big birthday party, and you want to make your event that little bit more personal, then you are in for a treat today, because we are joined by Cornwall Caricatures, a one-woman company run by award-winning artist and business owner Cassie Kemp. Good morning, Cassie.
Good morning.
Morning. Thank you so much for coming in the studio
Thanks
today.
Thanks for having me.
Anytime. I have been following your work online for a short while now, and I just love what you do.
Oh, thank you. Likewise.
I'm so excited to, I've got so many questions.
Bring them on. I'm here for it.
We're going to get into it. But let's start at the basics. Let's go back to the beginning. For anyone who's not familiar with you and your work, do you want to just give us a little introduction to what goes on behind Cornwall Caricatures?
Yeah, absolutely. So, caricature is not a word that you have to say or spell very often, so I do make it difficult. I've got it emblazoned on my chest just to help people know how to spell it and find me online. But caricatures are essentially funny and exaggerated portraits. So that's what I do. It does what it says on the tin, really. I create fun and lively, speedy portraits with pen in about 5 minutes per person. So I do that as a form of live entertainment, like you say, for special occasions.
It is incredible. The fact you can do it so fast as well, it blows my mind.
Oh, I love it. I do everything fast. You have to turn the speed down on my volume here.
So what is it about like caricature art that drew you to like that form of art? Because, you know, there's so many other forms of art out there, but you want to make people look silly, which I'm here for.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, life's too short, isn't it, to take yourself too seriously. I'm a fun-loving person. Fun is like at the core of everything I do. And I guess that's kind of how I just see people in general. Like I've got a natural kind of caricature bias to my style. So I just kind of ran with that. I've been drawing faces since I was 1. So I was a bit of a child prodigy. I didn't learn to walk till I was 18 months and I was drawing faces from 19 months. So I almost started drawing before I could walk. So it was just part of me, so much part of me that I kind of didn't realise I could make a career out of it until I was about 25. So yeah, it's just been my passion forever, really. Amazing.
And I should just say, guys, Cassie has come in hand today with her board and her pens, ready to
all loaded.
She's going to be so we're going to chat for a bit, then we're going to have a break, and in that break Cassie's going to be drawing me, which I'm so excited to see how this turns out. I went on holiday last summer and I got a caricature drawing done in the street by a street artist, and I love them. I think they're so cool. And you see so many videos online of where people, sometimes they can be borderline offensive to some people, but I love that aspect of it. Are you one of these that kind of accentuates certain features, or do you keep it a bit more user friendly? Yeah, I mean, there's so many directions I could take this conversation. I absolutely love it. I was just talking to your colleague off air about the trend, if you like, of the really kind of roasted caricature experience, and you do get that a lot in like the street fairs and the open air kind of caricature stands more overseas. But yeah, sometimes people they've seen that online on TikTok especially, and they will request me to roast them. But my style was a little bit different. I kind of liken it to a caricature style portrait. So it's you, but it's you with the volume turned up. It's you kind of on steroids, if you like. It's a little bit exaggerated. But I am a nice person and I'm in this to make people smile. I'm genuinely not in this to hurt any feelings. And if I had £1 for every time someone asked me if I've, ever really offended someone, I'd be a very rich woman. Yeah. Okay, right. Let me just delete that question a minute. But I love that aspect of like, because you see it, if someone's got a slightly larger nose, or I've got quite big ears, people. All those headphones are coming in handy then. Yeah, exactly. So I'm half expecting my caricature is going to probably have some big ears on them in a minute. But yeah, like you do have to obviously work with what you've got, and you've got to focus on something, haven't you? Yeah, it's a tasteful way to do it. And I do think I've got quite a unique style, because caricatures in general can be quite cruel sometimes. And I think everybody that sits in the chair is doing so with free will. They're up for a laugh. They're obviously a fun-loving person. Nobody's kind of pushed them into to be drawn. So that people tend to be quite pleasantly surprised, because it's playful. I would say it's a playful portrait. It's a bit of fun. And it's just an artist's impression. This isn't an oil painting. I'm not taking the rulers out to measure every inch of your face. Like, this is just a bit of fun. It's how I see you, and it's just a lovely keepsake of whatever event you go to. And I find the concept fascinating, because it almost makes people see. It makes you look at yourself through somebody else's eyes. Because I might look in the mirror and think, I look like this or I look like that. But when you draw me, I'm seeing what you're seeing of me, which I think is a really fascinating concept. Yeah, definitely. And everybody sees people differently. Like, we have an amazing community, actually, the caricature community in the UK. There's probably only about 50 of us in the UK, and we actually come together once a year. We have our own little convention. It's very informal, and it's called Caricon. So shout out to all my caricature family. Honestly, the first time I went, I'd been in business for 4 years when I first went, up in Brighton, and I'd never met another caricature artist. So it was so crazy to have, this had been my living for 4 years, and I'd never met another artist like me. And it was like going on Long Lost Family, like suddenly met all these people like me. And we're a very eccentric bunch, but a very supportive community. And we all have such different styles. So we actually all draw each other. And when you come away from the event, you have like 20 portraits of yourself. Everybody's picked up on different things, like different mannerisms, different, expressions, different features, different angles. So yeah, even if you've had a caricature done before, I always say to people, just go for it again, because we might see something differently in you. That's the thing. Like, for those that are not within that community. I would have never have known that there's this whole community out there, and
I love it.
I love the idea of you all just meeting up and hanging out. But like, I imagine you go out for a meal and then you're all sat around the table just drawing
We
each other.
literally do. We eat, drink, and draw, and listen to music all simultaneously. It's fantastic. Sensory overload, but in the best way.
Incredible. So take us back a bit to the beginning. Like, obviously you discovered your love for art and drawing faces at a very young age, but at what stage did you realise, right, I'm going to turn this into a business?
Yeah, so there's a few kind of stages in my journey where this was kind of revealed to me as my destiny, if you like. I definitely believe in fate and destiny and all that kind of thing. So when I was 15, I saw caricature artists at Alton Towers, and it was like the peak of, you know, school holidays. There were massive crowds and queues, and they were firing out the portraits, and people were handing over their £20 notes. And as a teenager with the confidence and arrogance that comes with teenage years, I was like, I could do that, and kind of parked that thought. Just did it for fun, carried on doing it for fun. My style was naturally quite caricature anyway, so started kind of developing that caricature side when I was about 16. And then I just started doing it for friends and family in my early 20s, just for like fundraisers and trying to raise some money for charity. Like anybody in my family or my circle that was trying to, you know, raise some money for a good cause, I was there, you know, cutting my teeth by doing it live, because I think you've got to just jump in head first. Like, doing it live, there is no way to do it other than just learning on the job. So I did that for a few years, and then my husband and I got engaged in 2012, I think. And then obviously all the wedding magazines come out, and we saw wedding caricaturists was a thing. It was a job. There were people all over the country doing it, but nobody was doing it in Cornwall. And I just thought, that is crazy. Yeah. Cornwall is one of the most sought after, you know, wedding destinations in the UK, possibly the most sought after wedding destination location in the UK. And I'm sure someone's got the stats on that. Wed Magazine might be able to help. And yeah, and obviously with the tourism and everything, I just thought, this is my destiny, this is my calling, and set the name up, Cornwall Caricatures, for a rainy day. As soon as me and my husband had got married, and I had gained all this free time in my life from not planning my wedding, which obviously takes over your world, I was like, I'm going to set up a business. So that was it. And it's been 10 years this year, and I've not looked back.
What is next for Cornwall Caricatures then? Where do you want to see this going? Are there any sort of big aims or ambitions in the pipeline?
Always pushing ahead. So I love the business side of I love having a brand and a business. I'm chronically online. I love being online and creating funny reels and TikToks and things. So I just adore the business side just as much as I do adore drawing people in real life. So because I've had my 2 kiddies at home, and obviously I was devoting my kind of days to that and kind of running my business in all of the nap times and all the little kind of hours I could find. My 2 kids have only been at school together full time for just over a year. So I've basically opened Pandora's box of all of the big tasks and projects that I've wanted to get my teeth into, that I've kind of put on hold whilst I've been juggling being a mum. So I'm just in the process at the moment. This is a really boring answer, but for me as a business owner, it's going to change my life. I'm moving over to a new CRM system, so my customers get a much more efficient journey, a customer journey. I've got an assistant now. We are having a new website which is coming, and also I am launching a event. So I'm going to be celebrating 10 years in business this autumn. So we are having a 10-year birthday bash. We've got live entertainment, and that's going to be at the barn at Pengelly on the 14th, Friday the 14th of November. Tickets are going on sale this week. So if anybody's listening and be interested in coming, check out my socials at Cornwall Caricatures for that. And we are going to be supporting 2 incredible charities, Cornwall Air Ambulance, who actually saved my dad's life in 1998. And we've had over 25 years with him since, thanks to them. And he walked me down the aisle on crutches. So he nearly died many times, bless him. But thanks to Cornwall Air Ambulance, we've had our dad with us for a quarter of a century. And also George's Voice, who are an incredible charity. I've done a lot of work for Sophie and her team over the years and love supporting them. So it's nice to kind of return the favour and do something for them too. So yeah, going to be celebrating a decade in business and using it as an opportunity to have a knees up and raise money for 2 amazing causes in Cornwall. That's kind of my year. And also I've got a podcast as well. So just developing that and growing that and just carrying on all the crazy mum activities in the background. Like I'm currently paper macheing a whole gym ball for World Book Day. So there's always creative projects going on in my house. My poor husband is just like every corner he turns there's some chaotic creative thing going on. But I wouldn't have it any other way. I absolutely love it. I'm very privileged to to live this creative life.
She is booked and busy, and we are pleased to see it. Give us a final plug. Where can people follow you online? What's your website? Where can people get the podcast? Share everything with us.
Will do. So yeah, Cornwall Caricatures. There's no H in it, and you can find me at cornwallcaricatures.co.uk for your website. And then on Instagram, which is where I hang out the most, it's at Cornwall Caricatures. Same handle on TikTok. And then obviously I'm on LinkedIn if you're into that kind of side of things too.
NEWSWAVE.
Thank you to Cassie Kemp for joining us. To check out more of her work, visit cornwallcaricatures.co.uk. Okay, that's all we've got time for on this week's edition of NEWSWAVE. A big Chaos Radio thank you to John Lewis of Prickles and Paws, Leanne Bawden and Jessica Collett from the RSPCA, to Gerard Little and Helen Scott Washington of Team Adventurus, and to Cassie Kemp from Cornwall Caricatures. And as ever, a final thank you to you for listening and helping support local journalism to thrive. To catch up on all our coverage and to check out our extensive back catalogue of interviews and shows, do head on over to chaos.radio. And remember, if you have a local news story that you'd like to share with us, email news@chaos.radio or search Chaos Radio UK across socials, and you could be seeing us very soon. That's it. You're up to date here on Chaos. I'm Tom Howe. Thank you so much for listening.
NEWSWAVE.
Chaos.radio. Music, podcasts, entertainment.